Hello friends, it's great to be back with you. I've got a brand new series on how to make armor in the works. It'll feature a full new suit called the Imperial Knight, and it's designed to take advantage of the intricate and delicate cuts that a laser cutter can provide. In preparation for this next series, this video will provide a quick introduction to setting up your cuts when using a laser cutter for your leather craft projects. You will still have the option to cut these projects by hand, but for this next tutorial series, I'll be using a Glowforge laser for most of the cutting processes. For demonstrations on how to print the patterns and for hand cutting, please refer back to the Fantasy Armor tutorial series. While I have used laser machines in the past, the Glowforge is new to me, so I'll be learning along the way with you and sharing any tips and tricks I uncover as I go in future videos. This video is not sponsored, but I do have an affiliate link if you would like to save up to $500 on purchasing one of these awesome machines for yourself. I'll be providing many tips and suggestions throughout this series, but I want to make sure you understand the scope of the content is based primarily around rigid, vegetable tan leather items in general, and at times specifically for leather armor style projects, which are my personal staple. Some of my suggestions may not be applicable if you're going for chrome tan leather or cutting wood or acrylic or whatever else. My hope is that my unique personal perspective can open up a whole new field of possibilities for current laser cutter owners, as well as introduce leather workers to using laser cutters in their hobbies and businesses. I feel like there's a lot of mystique surrounding laser cutters, like if you own one, it's magic, and you just press a button and all of your work is done. And to some extent that is true, but only after a lot of prep work. So just in the interest of setting realistic expectations for newcomers, you have to do your due diligence in preparation. There are many variables that can change the result of your cut even before considering the natural variation from hide to hide of leather. There's also a lot of work that goes into making a good design that takes advantage of what a laser can do. And there's often a lot of trial and error in finding ideal settings so that you can finally just load the leather in and press go. I will be sharing my settings with you throughout the series, but I suggest you use that only as a starting point, because your mileage may vary even if you're using the same machine due to focus settings and age of the tube and other factors, as well as the vast differences in the types of leather out there. So with all of that in mind, I wanted to cover on how to dial in your cut settings for leather. If you are following along with the Imperial Knight patterns, there'll generally be 2 layers on each one. One layer is the decorative layer, which will normally be done with a low power and high speed for aesthetics, which should always be on top and cut first. And then there's the outside perimeter with rivet holes, which is the main cut path and is to be cut last. Just as an aside, one of the things I love about the Glowforge is that it has a built-in camera that lets you preview your bed and layout. With that in mind, first we need to do some test cuts. Here I'm using some 9-ounce vegetable tan leather for this project, so to figure out my ideal settings, I'm going to use some scrap from the hide I'll be working with and lay it out on the bed. To do my test cuts, I'm using a scale pattern here from the recent Manticore project, which is larger than necessary but more interesting for the purposes of this video. Another method is drawing a series of circles or a grid at different power levels and speed levels. The leather I'm using is 9 ounces, which is about 3.5 millimeters thick, so I set that as my focus and Glowforge handles the rest. My old laser cutter and many other brands out there require you to manually focus the lens, so factor that according to your own needs. And then from there I will experiment to find the extremes of too much and too little to help arrive at an ideal setting in the middle for the project. For the first test, on the decorative cut path I went with 301 speed and 30 power, and for the primary cut path I went with 136 speed and full power. This established a baseline for the higher end power. The cut was successful, but it was too potent, leaving the edges excessively charged. For the second test, I swung the pendulum the other way and increased the speed to 167 and set the power to 100. This was cleaner, but it turned out to be a little bit too fast for a successful cut. So for the third and final test for this round, I set the speed to 121 and 100 power. Just so you understand what's happening here, the lower the speed, the more time the laser has to cut through the material, and the higher the power, the stronger the cutting beam will be. But also you introduce more charring and probably lose some degree of precision as well. Another option is to lower the power, increase the speed, and run multiple passes. This gives a cleaner cut at the cost of more time spent on cutting. Another consideration based on past experience with other machines, if you run your power at full throttle all the time, you can really reduce the life of your tube. In any case, I found this third result acceptable for my purposes here. Know that I plan to demonstrate more options in the future and share many more tips, so make sure you're subscribed and following us on social media. Thank you to our patrons for supporting this content. Our Patreon is a great place to get early access to our latest custom projects, extra behind-the-scenes content and updates, and students in the Academy tier always have access to the latest patterns and beta designs included with the membership. At the time of this posting, I'm behind on content, so there will be a lot of new stuff added over the coming months to catch up, so now would be a great time to join. And just as a reminder, we have an active chat community on Discord. Check the link below to join the conversation and share your works. I'll see you guys real soon in the next videos. Take care.